Hello everybody and welcome back to APPF1 on a Tuesday night. We're here with Tier 2 and we're here in Monaco for round number 6 of this 8-round season. Just 3 races to go and this is one of them. What a circuit, what an occasion. We only do Monaco once every year in APPF1 and today is the day. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. We're here in qualifying, 16 minutes, 18 minutes in total, 16 minutes left of this qualifying session already, but everyone's getting back there and getting out on track and getting ready to set laps, including this man, Tito Man, who slams against the wall as he exits the pits. We haven't seen him in a Tier 2 race in quite some time, and it's great to see the South African back on track again. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. He's just a reserve today, but it's fantastic to see him out there because we haven't seen him in a while. But it looks like Jack Alaco is already off, as well as his teammate Lawrence, the two championship protagonists at this stage. Lawrence through Sector 1 an 18.9. What's Jacko going to set just behind? It's an 18.6. He's a lot faster than his teammate at this stage. Jacko very accomplished at this circuit as Lawrence comes through the latter part of Sector 2, the slow section into the tunnel. Missed the apex there of that right-hander, but now down towards the chicane. Brake just after the 100-meter board. You've got to cut across the chicane just like that to get as good an exit as you can, and through into the swimming pool section. 52.9. What about Jacko as he comes through the same corner, nearly hits the wall, very wide, also 52.9. Lawrence gained a lot on his teammate in the middle sector, and the final sector now into the final corner, and DRS open for Lawrence, the season 9 champion. He does a 111.5. His teammate comes across the line. Can he beat that straight away? Yes, by just over a tenth of a second. And Jack Alaco taking provisional pole for now, but almost everyone is on a lap. RJ beats them both by some distance, an 11.0 from the Red Bull driver. Aces is a long way behind. What about Sumo in the Mercedes? Coming across the line, he's way down, so not a competitive lap time for him at this stage. Krauser, the last winner of Monaco Tier 2, is P5 for now, a long way down, a 13.9. And finally, Scott, a race winner this season and second place last week, but he's also down a 12.0 from the Haas driver, puts him up to P4. But RJ, currently the man of the hour. He's the race winner last time out in France. He's looking to be race winner here. Goes up to P4 in the Aston Martin. That's a good opening lap from him. Now we've got Aston Martin's the bread in a Haas sandwich on the left-hand side there. Tito Man coming across the line as well in the Alfa Romeo. What can he do? On his first race back, he's a long way down, but he's going to go again by the looks of it. Wasn't using ERS there. Sumo's coming through as well for his first lap. Rafferrari on a lap as well. The Spaniard, we haven't seen him in the last couple of weeks on track, so it's good to see him back. Same with Lucastro, but he is still in the pits at the moment, as well as his Ferrari teammate. Sumo goes to P5, an 11.9 for his opening lap in the Mercedes. Not too bad at all, as everyone else peeling into the pits. So we're right on board with Rafferrari as he comes to the chicane. What can he do? He's been onward. His trajectory has only been upwards this season, Rafferrari. He has been flying compared to where he was last season. And he's coming through Sector 2. That looked pretty good through the chicane. Pretty good through there. A little bit of oversteer, though, on the exit. 52.9 is not bad as he comes through the final sector now. The last 2 corners, but a little deep there. And now down into Anthony Nogues. Will have lost a lot of time, a few tenths at least in that penultimate corner, but down to the line comes Rafferrari. It's P4, and he's looking like a real challenger for pole, because he lost at least 2 or 3 tenths in that penultimate corner there, I'd say. So very nice, and Lawrence to P1 now, a 10.8 from the Season 9 champion. That is a marker to set down on 3-lap-old soft tyres. He is not waiting around. Wow. That is unexpected. The man who's been way down on qualifying all season, and then he's made up for it in the race. Here in Monaco, where it matters, he has put down the marker, and that is very, very nicely done. But you'll notice we are racing at midnight tonight. The drivers voted on it, and they said, pretty much unanimous decision that we would race at midnight in Monaco tonight, which is fantastic. It's always a spectacle. Tito's retired. He's binned it into the chicane by the looks of it. Can we find out yet? There's the stricken Alfa Romeo. I think he's binned it on the left-hand side on the wall as you come in on the inside. And that's a shame for him. So he will not be improving, will likely remain at the back of the grid. Mania did improve, but not much, only to P6. We've got Scott and Krause on outlaps again already. Tier on a lap now in the Ferrari, his first lap of the session. Into this tricky left-right-hander. You've got to commit so much into those corners. You've got to commit into every corner on this circuit, but especially those two. And now into this slow section of track, this hairpin, one of the slowest corners on the calendar, if not the slowest, as he comes through the end of Sector 2 into the tunnel now for Tier. The man who he did pretty well here, I think, last time we raced in Monaco in Tier 2. I can't quite remember, though. All I remember is that Krause won and that Mania was on the podium with him. But Tier through, oh, that was nearly into the wall. Oh, that is into the wall. Tier out of the session. He's turned in far too early for the swimming pool, and he is not going to be able to set a lap. He will be starting from the back. A complete disaster for Tier there. Mania not on a lap right now. RJ and Jacko are on laps. Jacko's invalidated, so nothing for him. What about the Red Bull of RJ, who was on pole position until a few minutes ago? Here he comes through the tunnel down towards the chicane. RJ Blair, the most recent race winner in Tier 2. There's the stricken tyre of Tito Man there. Tier saying maybe some practice was in order for this track. Yeah, perhaps, Tier. Maybe. RJ, though, coming through the swimming pool section. This looks electric from the American driver through the final couple of corners. What a lap this could be from RJ, but he's lost the rear out the last corner, and that's going to cost him a lot of time down towards the line. It's not quite enough. He's lost out by 0.005 of a second. Scott spinned it as well. Disaster for the man who was chasing the title, perhaps in this race. He's had a really good few weeks after this double DNF to start the season, but he has binned it in qualifying in Monaco, and this is just where you don't want to bin it. And Ferrari's gone way too deep into the chicane there. Ace versus King's coming through. He's on a lap behind him, I think. No, I don't think so. He's not using ERS. Sumo coming through the tunnel. He's also not improving. What about Krause? Through the final corner, not improving either. So he's going to go for another run. But RJ agonizingly close to pole position. Lucas Rowe on a lap as well. His first lap. Jack Alaco's 3.5 tenths up in the middle sector. What can he do towards the end? He's pretty good at this track, Jacko. He tends to be pretty fast and tends to survive very well as well. It's a huge improvement of half a second, but it doesn't improve his position. Astonishingly, he's less than a tenth behind Lawrence, but he remains P3, and he's going to be frustrated with that. A huge improvement, but Ferrari on a lap, but I don't think he's improving. What about Sumo? He's in Sector 1. Lucas Rowe coming to the final sector, though, in the Ferrari. Can he succeed where his teammate failed? No, he's invalidated. He's taken too much of that curb, and that's him. That's his lap completed and done, so he's going to have to try and go again. On the same set of tyres, but with very limited ERS, so it's not going to be the most ideal run for him. Krause, the last Monaco race winner in Tier 2, heading back into the pits. Still no improvement for him. Sumo, though, through Sector 2. Is there improvement for my podcast partner? Yes, there is. Half a tenth up in Sector 2, but it's not enough to improve his position at this stage. down through the last couple of corners. There's an Alpine in his way. He's gone into the pits, thankfully, and Sumo through the final corner. DRS Open, no oversteer there. Down towards the line, and it's a slight improvement, but it's nowhere near enough for Sumo to get out of P7. Lawrence to the line, he's improving again in that Alpine, and he has improved again by 3.5 tenths. It's a 10.4 now, the time to beat. That is an astonishing lap from Lawrence, and he is looking to stamp his authority on this Grand Prix. Last time we raced here, he and his championship rival Darth Nihilus, right here at this very corner, they came together and both crashed out of the race within the first few laps. Lucas Rowe goes to P7 with his first effort, not bad at all, 11.8. But it's only 6 minutes to go, so he doesn't have much time to try and improve. Sumo's not improving, so we're going to have to wait for people to start their laps now, such as this man, Aces versus Kings in the Haas. Let me read your comment, Tito. Just want to say this is my return in many months, and I have not driven on Monaco in many months. Worst race for me to return, but I'm loving it. I'm glad you're loving it. Just, you know, try and keep it out the walls in the race. I mean, as long as you do that, it doesn't matter how slow you are, you should gain a few positions. So keep it tight and you'll be fine. But yeah, I wouldn't expect someone who hasn't driven on Monaco in many months and hasn't even driven in many months to be pretty ace at Monaco in qualifying. So no problem at all. Completely understand. Hello, Harris, in the chat. Good to see you. As Ace versus Kings into the latter part of the middle sector. That was pretty nice through the chicane from the Haas driver. Can he get this corner right? It's a notoriously tricky corner. He's hit the wall. He's a tenth and a half up, but it looks like he's got some understeer. And yeah, I think he took damage from that little nick of the wall through that right-hander. It's really tricky corner to get right. And Aces down towards the line now. DRS Open. What's it going to be for the Haas driver? It is an improvement, but I think he can do better than that. It's P4, though, for now, for the Brit. RJ Blair on a lap, but not improving at this stage in the Red Bull, and in fact straight back into the pits for a fresh set of tyres. Ferrari on an out lap in the meantime. The Spanish driver looking to improve. He's a second down on pole position right now. But we've seen his previous lap, he got a lot, he went very, very deep into the penultimate corner and lost quite a bit of time. So there's still time on the table for the Spanish driver as he comes through Sector 1 now. Fully commit through this right-hander, and he does. Very nicely done from Ferrari. A little tap on the wall, but I don't think that'll affect him too much. I've got my battery low indicator covering the timing, so I can't see if he was improving in Sector 1. But I should be able to see if he's improving in Sector 2. Lawrence has retired in the pit lane, so he's not confident he's going to improve. He thinks that was the perfect lap, and fair enough, he's nearly 4 tenths up on any competitors. So I don't blame him at all for thinking, you know what, I'm done with that, that's fine. Ferrari through into the middle sector, though. It's only slightly down, but we know he lost a lot of time in this final sector right here at this corner. Is he going to go deep again? Oh, he's going to go even deeper. He's going to retire. He's lost his wheel and he's out of the session. It's our 5th retirement of qualifying, but our 4th crash of this qualifying session. And Ferrari is going to be gutted with that one. He is still P5 at the moment as Jack Alaco makes it an Alpine 1-2. Front row lockout for the 2 championship protagonists. But RJ not that far behind in time, but that's going to be a mountain to climb on this circuit. Sumo not improving either. What about Krauser? Also not improving in the Aston Martin, so he's going to have to try again as we enter the last couple of minutes of this qualifying session. And RJ and Aces still in the pits as everyone else trying to set the best laps that they can. Krauser is one of them. He's in Sector 1 right now. Remember, he won last time out in Monaco by pitting early, going onto the hards, and then driving his socks off for the rest of the race on that set of hards, and no one got anywhere near him for the rest of the race. It was just a mighty undercut, and it worked wonders. So I wonder if he's going to employ the same strategy again. We shall see. But it certainly doesn't look like he's going to be up there in qualifying as it stands. He's coming through Sector 2 now into the chicane. What can the British driver do? Pretty tight to the inside there, not quite as committed as you can be, but pretty good, and missing the apex there a tad, but he's 3.5 tenths up. He needs a lot more than that though. Into the final sector comes Krauser, a bit of oversteer, that's going to lose him a few tenths. Now into the last couple of corners, not as committed through that penultimate corner as you could be. Same with Anthony Noakes, but he's not too bad, and down to the line for Krauser 17, it's going to be a 12.7. It's a huge improvement in time, but in position he remains P10. What about Sumo? He's 4.5 tenths up in the middle sector as Mania goes to P4, but that's a big overstep in the brakes from Sumo at the penultimate corner. It's a very easy mistake to make, but he's lost a lot of time from doing that. And he's going to be frustrated because he has improved to P6, but it could have been P5, I think. Mania went to P4. Jackalacco is on a lap trying to beat his teammate to pole position. He's 200ths up in the middle sector. We've also got RG on an outlap just ahead. Aces as well. I hope they don't get in Jacko's way. He's coming through the last couple corners. That looked perfect through the penultimate corner. Final corner not bad either. DRS open for the Scottish driver, and the defending champion can't quite improve to pole. RJ's binned it. Oh no, he's gone into the pits and retired, so no improvement for the American. What about Mania? I don't think he's on a lap. Aces though, 2.5 tenths up in Sector 1. Sumo as well, trying to improve in Sector 2. Lucas Rowe, no improvement for him. He's in the pit lane. Same with Krauser. So only 3 drivers on laps right now, and Sumo is going to be the first across the line. What's it going to be through the middle sector? It's no improvement for him either. So it's all about whether Aces can snatch a few positions here. He's in the middle sector. He's the last driver on a lap. What can he do? It's Lawrence on pole right now. Can Aces snatch it at the death? He comes into the latter part, the middle sector, but he's 2 tenths down, and it's not going to be an improvement by the looks of things for Aces. He is sending it in this final sector, you can tell, and that's not too bad through there, but a little less committed through those last couple corners. I think he knows there's no improvement likely for Aces, and no, indeed, he remains P5, and that is going to be your grid. It's Lawrence who takes a shock pole position in Monaco with Jackalacco alongside him on the front row, the 2 protagonists leading the way. Hello, Luppies. I came here and that retirement was the first thing I saw, the Rafferrari one, I think. hello, Luppies. Good to see you. I love how that wheel just remains in the middle of the road. Yeah, it's a funny glitch, isn't it? But it is Lawrence on pole position with Jacko alongside him on the front row. But remember, Monaco, an endurance race more than anything. RJ Blair and Mania make up the second row. That's a good qualifying from Mania. Aces and Sumo row 3. Rafferrari on row 4 after crashing with alongside Lucas Rowe, who joined the league at pretty much the same time as him. Scott in P9. Crash out. Krauser in P10. He'll be looking to do the same thing he did last year. Tito in P11, and Tia unable to set a lap, so he'll start from the back. Monaco is an amazing track. I agree, Lupper. Fantastic track. I'm very glad we get to watch a race around here once in APP every game at least. F1 would not be the same without Monaco. I know a lot of people want to bin it because the cars don't really fit around the circuit anymore. You can't really overtake people unless they make a big mistake and you're very brave, and you can barely get cars too wide through the best parts on the circuit. Never mind the narrow parts, but F1 just isn't the same without the Monaco Grand Prix. It's just not, and I think it's an essential part of the calendar, even if it's not the greatest race from a spectator standpoint. I just think it would be a travesty if Monaco did ever get binned from the calendar. But, as we head off for the formation lap, let's see what tyres everyone is on. So it's hard tyres for Lawrence, Jacko, Mania, Sumo, Lucasro, Krauser, which is surprising, and Tito Man. With mediums for Tia, Rafferrari and RJ, and then soft tyres for Aces and Scott. Both Hasses starting on the softs. They're looking to do the Krauser strategy by the looks of things, which won him the race last year. But Krauser, I expected him to do the same thing he did last year, but no, he started on the hard tyres. So he's looking to go long here and go into the mediums for the second stint. If you're in clear air, it's the ideal strategy. It's the fastest strat to go hard medium if you're in clear air. But this race is not done in clear air. And you have to overtake people. If you end up behind them, and you can get stuck behind a slower driver very, very easily for a very long time. So the undercut is pretty massive, and I wouldn't be surprised to see those Hasses in contention for the race win today, possibly, if things go their way. But of course, with 39 laps away from crowning a Monaco Grand Prix winner yet, it will be the first one of this year in APPF1. And only a select few drivers have won a 50% Monaco Grand Prix in the league. And all of these guys will be wanting to add their names to that list. Here we go. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Monaco Grand Prix in Tier 2. It's a fantastic start from Lawrence off the line. A better one from RJ, who's up to P2. Nearly hits Lawrence in the back into turn 1, but Jacko's down to P3. Disastrous start for him. Mania and Aces side by side up the hill. Aces round the outside, and he makes the move. What an overtake from Aces versus Kings. He's up to P4 in the Haas. Mania down to 5th. Rafferrari trying to find a way through in the meantime in the McLaren. Sumo nearly into the back of him, into that hairpin, but just about getting away with it. Everyone off the line clean by the looks of things. Very nicely done from Tier 2. As Tier's made up a place as well on Tito Man in the background there. He's up to P11, and everyone now single file for the rest of the first lap. Aces right behind Jackalacco, trying to pile the pressure on the championship leader as they come through the end of the middle sector. He's of course on those softs, so he wants to make as much progress as possible before he comes into the pits and gets that undercut done. But Mania already losing a ton of time to those top 4, clattering over the curb there at Swimming Pool. They're getting away with it as Rafferrari in P6 of Mania. Big mistake at the final corner, but just about getting away with it. Krauser and Tier. Krauser into the pits already for a front wing change, I'm assuming. It's not a good start for the Aston Martin driver. It is a front wing change, and I'm sure that won't be the first one of the evening. Yeah, Luppy, you'll have to be here on Friday. Please make it on Friday. We want as big a grid as possible for Tier 1 at this circuit. We only do it once a year, so it would be a shame to have a small grid. But anyway, Lawrence still leading the way from RJ on the medium tyres in P2. Jackalacco losing time to both of them, already over a second behind, and Aces is putting pressure on. No, it's short quali as usual, Lupper. But Rafferrari in P6, right behind Mania as well. Looking for that move, the tyre advantage, serving him well, but not well enough to make the overtake, as is so common around here. Mania under the lights, just about going through. Full could be nice. Well, yeah, but it takes ages, and then we overlap with another league. But Mania, with our affiliate league, I should say, through the last couple of corners. Lawrence setting the fastest lap at the front of the field as Rafferrari trying to desperately to find a way past this Aston Martin. He's losing so much time. You can see by the timing screens he's 2.5 seconds behind Aces already, but you can tell Rafferrari's faster, and here he goes. He's using the ERS but has to stay behind, staying sensible for now, but he's going to come under pressure from Sumo if he makes any sort of error as well, so he's got to keep eyes front and behind him in that McLaren at this stage. Aces has lost a ton of time to Jacko. Must have been a mistake from the Haas driver. There's no visible damage, but there could be superficial damage that we can't see on that Haas. But RJ still keeping Lawrence honest at the front of the field, despite Jacko falling away a little. As Rafferrari as well, trying to find a way past this Aston Martin. You've got to be so careful with ERS on this track as well. The overtake button has to only be used when you're absolutely certain that you're going to be able to make an overtake, or you really need to gain some time on the undercut. But because it's so difficult to gain back on this circuit. And Rafferrari, you can see there the mistake from Mania, but it's just not enough for Rafferrari to make any sort of move. He looks to the outside but can't make it, but here we go. This is the chance now. He's gotten a better exit as they go up the hill. Mania just planting his car in the middle of the circuit, and there's nothing Rafferrari can do. That's excellent defending from the Aston Martin driver. Rafferrari, though, still using the ERS, looking to the inside, but doesn't send it into the hairpin, and Mania would have had his heart in his mouth there. Mania also down to about 60% ERS, Rafferrari on about 50%, so he's got to be careful. He has been using, but sooner or later he's going to end up with none left to overtake at all if he doesn't use it at the best opportunities. He's using it now. Here he goes, looking to the outside of the chicane. There's a little bit of contact as Rafferrari goes for the move. More contact through the rest of the chicane. Rafferrari trying to get a better exit. Oh no, he's into the wall, and Sumo's out as well. Oh no, we've got a safety car in the Monaco Grand Prix. Sumo, an innocent bystander there. He's going to be absolutely gutted. There's nothing he could do. But Mania, Rafferrari just stuck his nose in, and Mania showed him the wall. RJ into Jacko in. Lawrence has stayed out though, and that could be crucial. I wonder if he hasn't caught up to, he hasn't passed the safety car either. I wonder if he'd already passed the pit lane. Oh, that would be such a shame for Lawrence if so, because he's going to lose an absolute bucket load of time now. Scott has also stayed out on the soft tyres, which is interesting. But everyone else in. Jacko for the mediums, Aces hards, Lucas for mediums. Aces can take those hards to the end. The mediums will go, but goodness me, they won't go very well. It'll be horrible to drive on by the end of the race. I'll be opening check-in on Thursday evening as usual. But Sumo absolutely gutted in the chat, as you can expect. There's nothing he could do about that. Absolutely nothing he could do. Rafferrari went for the move into the chicane, and Mania showed him the door. What was he thinking? Yeah, Sumo's not happy. It's difficult to say, really, because like I'd have to go back. I couldn't really say, because I don't know if he was alongside on the exit of the chicane or not. Because if he was alongside, then it's Mania's fault. But if he wasn't, then it's probably leaning on his fault. But if not a racing incident. It was. He was getting very impatient in that McLaren. Rafferrari, he was desperate to get past. He knew how much time he was losing, stuck behind Mania. And And, well, that's the result. It's just such a shame that Sumo was the one to get caught out as well. Krauser into the pits. The safety car does work, Rick. It does apparently work. So we do have a safety car out there as Krauser exits the pits on the hard tyres. Yeah, I mean, Sumo, like, I'm the first to criticize people, like for getting quote unquote unlucky when they get involved in an incident, even though they could, you know, or they become sort of, what's the word? Embroiled in an incident that was nothing to do with them, but they could really have backed out. They could have seen the incident coming and been a little more cautious, but in that there was nothing you could do about that, mate. Absolutely nothing. No way you could have seen that coming. Ferrari saying all the time you have to leave a space, guys. Stewards. Stewards is all I'll say. But yeah, it was a tricky one. It was a tricky one. Always tough to try and overtake at Monaco. It's a real shame that Sumo was collateral damage in that. Completely undeserved and nothing at all that he could do about it. Sumo does know what his finish line Lupper. He's finished P4 this season. Nearly got on the podium in Kota, but for a Jackalacco send down the inside on the final lap. But safety car, I think, should be in this lap, I would say. It's Lawrence who leads. But we'll have a look at pit stops, because everyone from 6th downwards has pitted already. The top 5 have not come in, so they are going to have to pit. Those on mediums, I would expect, are going to have to pit as well. Jacko and Lucas will have to pit again. But RJ, Aces and Krauser on the hard tyres, there's a real chance that they could be able to take those to the end. But it's tough to say, as the safety car does indeed come in this lap, and Lawrence is going to lead us off through the last couple of corners. He can punch it whenever he likes. It's not punched it yet through the final corner. Can Lawrence send it? No, he hasn't gone yet. He's going to wait until halfway down the straight. Good evening, Marcus. Best track on the game, I agree. Hello, Gurfian as well. Good to see you, man. But they're off on the safety car restart, and RJ down the inside, but he's taken the Mahavir Raghunathan line through turn 1, and he's gained a 3-second time penalty as a result. He might just dispute that in stewards, but he has gained a place on Tito, and he's up to P5 in the Red Bull. We've got a Scott going down the inside of Mania into the right-hander. That's very, very bold move from Scott. It didn't quite work out, but goodness me. Jack Alaco as well making a move on Tito in the meantime. Aces is right there too, as Tito is cannon fodder at the moment for the rest of the grid. Aces right behind. He's sending the ERS button. Here he comes down towards the chicane. Is he going to send it into the chicane? Tito leaves him room around the outside. Very nice racing from Tito just to give him the room there. Oh, and Aces has binned it. I wonder if there was contact between Lucasro and the Haas driver, or if Aces just binned it all by himself. But he's got no front left end plate, and he's going to have to come into the pits now to replace that front wing. And Aces' season has gone from bad to worse. That's a long, long way to go in this Grand Prix, of course, but there's Tia losing places there. I don't know how he just lost 2 places there. Must have made a big mistake out the final corner, and Jacko and RJ have been let past, and now Scott right behind Mania. Send it, Scott, says Marcus. Scott really going for it here. Lawrence already has a 2-second lead. Scott needs to get past Mania in order to have a chance at going after the race leader. But much easier said than done. One driver already tried to get past Mania in this Grand Prix today, and it ended in a double DNF for him and Sumo. So Mania, not the easiest driver to get past at a Monaco circuit. We saw that last year as well, at this very same track. And he's not going to be easily dispatched of, even with the soft tyre clad Haas right behind him, and as well as RJ, who's looking to make some moves. Jack Alaco as well, the championship leader and defending champion in the Alpine, desperate to make some moves and chase after his teammate, the race leader. Krauser making a move on Tito. Must have been an error from the Alfa Romeo. Maybe he was letting Krauser through, who knows. But DRS now enabled once again. Scott needs to channel his inner Marcus dive bomb. I taught him well, says Marcus. Well, he's certainly losing a lot of time to Lawrence as it stands. 2.7 seconds between Mania and the race leader. RJ right behind as well. Perhaps he could channel some Marcus dive bomb energy on Scott as Lucas Rowe gets past his teammate now. Here losing place after place. I wonder if there's anything wrong with that Ferrari or if it was just another mistake from the British driver. But here now in P7, but still racing along. Krauser 4.5 seconds down on the two Ferraris as RJ right behind Scott. Scott losing touch with Mania now. I think those soft tyres starting to become a bit worse for wear, and now RJ right behind this Haas. Using the ERS, he's going to look for an opportunity. Whenever Scott makes a mistake, RJ will try and pounce. He nearly pounces at the penultimate corner. I don't think he planned to. Scott just braked earlier than RJ thought he would. Through the final corner, no opportunity down towards turn 1. And Jack Alaco lying in wait as well. But this is definitely the battle to ride on board with. Oh, and there's contact. Scott's out of the race, and he's out of the championship battle surely as well. RJ has hit him, and Scott's into the wall. RJ's going to feel a deep feeling in the pit of his stomach, knowing that he has taken Scott out there, and Scott's hopes of a championship title fight in this season are surely done and dusted now, as the safety car is going to be perfect for the likes of Lawrence and Mania, who still haven't stopped. So I think RJ is going to lead this race, but he's got a 3-second time penalty to his name in-game. He's going to surely get a 5-second or 10-second penalty for taking out Scott there. I'm not sure which. Probably 5, but maybe the stewards will take the track into account. I'm not sure. But that's one way to make moves at Monaco, says Marcus. Yeah, Scott, the fan favourite, out of the Grand Prix. Absolutely gutting for him. On track, Lawrence has stayed out, as has Mania. They're going the distance on these hard tyres. They don't want to come in early. Lucas Rowe has come in, as has Tier, his teammate. They're doing a double stack at Ferrari. And it's going to be a front wing change for Lucas Rowe. I wonder if there's going to be one for Tier as well. Krauser gets past both, so he's up to P5. Tier into the pits, and yeah, front wing change for Tier as well, so I think there certainly was damage to that Ferrari. Anton has joined about 15 minutes too late to be able to race today, unfortunately. This will bring Aces back into the Grand Prix as well. So he gets past Tier, by the way. So Aces up to P8. They saw the SC at Monaco. It seems like it, Marcus. It seems like it. After 3 years in a row of the safety car being completely broken at Monaco and never ever coming out, it seems like they finally fixed it. But we're about 1/3 of the way through this Grand Prix now, and Well, it is a dry race, by the way, by the looks of things. It could still rain later, but it's looking pretty bone dry at the moment. Lawrence Mania and RJ having a little bit of a tussle there under the safety car, not quite ideal. But Lucas Rowe joining the pack. Tito's into the pits. He's come in for a set of medium tyres. I don't know if he'll look to take those to the end. They will go to the end, but with difficulty from this point. He's going to rejoin in 9th place, with Aces now up to P7 in his Haas, looking to recover after either getting tagged or binning it himself on the exit of the chicane. I'm not sure quite which one it was. But safety car, I don't know if it'll be in this lap. I don't know if Tito will catch up quick enough. I think he will, actually. I think it will be in this lap. Tito coming down to the chicane now. The safety car train just exiting the chicane. I think it will be in this lap then, as Tito comes around. And yeah, there we go. There's the message. Safety car in this lap. And Tito should be able to catch back up. And there we go. Tito back in the race. Back in the race. And we turn our attention back to the race leader, Lawrence, who's looking to take the championship lead today, with 2 rounds to go after this one. Here he goes into the final corner. He went halfway down the straight last time. It looks like he's doing the same again, not giving Mania any opportunities to get past him. And there he goes, just before the line. And Mania not able to take advantage, but look at who is. RJ looking around the outside of turn 1, and now looking for the switchback on the exit. Look at this, ERS using that overtake button, and he's through. RJ up to P2. What a move from the Red Bull driver. If only he'd done something similar on Scott instead of taking him putting him into the wall. But Mania down to 3rd place now, and RJ is going to be challenging Lawrence for the race lead. But at what cost? He's going to have plenty of penalties to his name at the end of this one, I should think. But I don't know if Lawrence will know that. That's the only thing. Mania now under pressure from Jack Alaco, the championship leader, looking to get past. He's going to also be desperate to get past this Aston Martin. He knows how important it's going to be to not be stuck behind him for too long, and he's looking to make that move right now, but can't quite get the exit he wanted due to the angle of Mania's car there. And it's just a tag of the wall from the Aston Martin driver there. And Jacko trying to find his way past into the penultimate corner, but there's no way through. Perhaps a switchback. Krauser hits the back of the Alpine. I don't know if that was damage, as Aces goes down the inside into the final corner. What an opportunistic move from Aces versus Kings. Lucas Rowe trying to find his way through as well. Krauser's been absolutely swamped here, and Lucas Rowe is up to P6. Jack Alaco's got a track limits penalty, and RJ's into the lead of the Grand Prix down the inside up the hill, and RJ leads the Monaco Grand Prix now by 4/10 from Lawrence, who's going to try and stay with him, but nearly hits the back of the Red Bull into the right-hander there, but just about manages to get away with it. Mania stays in P3 for now. Look at this train all the way down to the back of the field. Everyone, all these cars within a telephone box of room at the slow section of track. There's Jack Alaco now right behind Mania. He's going to look to make this move into the chicane. He's using the ERS button. He goes round the outside. He's alongside into the chicane, but Mania breaks late and keeps the place. Excellent defending from the Aston Martin driver as he looks to secure perhaps a podium today, but he does still have to pit later on in this Grand Prix. But still keeping Jacko behind, and Jacko's going to get more and more frustrated and perhaps start getting more and more desperate. But I don't think Jacko's that sort of driver usually, as Lucas Rowe has made an error there. I don't know if he hit someone or if he's just binned it himself, but he's not got no front left end plate. And that's going to be another front wing change for the Ferrari driver from Italy, as Tia now on the back of Krauser. Look at this. Oh, he's going for the move, but Krauser shuts the door. And surely there's damage to Tia there now. Yeah, definitely damage. He's understeering into the wall. He's going to let Tito by. Tia's not going to be happy with that one. And Krauser stays ahead. But he could find himself with a penalty for that one, although I don't know. Tia wasn't quite alongside. It's really difficult. You've got to be so patient, but you've also got to be so respectful of the other drivers on this circuit to make any sort of progress. Talking of progress, here comes Jackalacco Mania, leaves him room and loses the place to Aces as well by doing so. Brilliant overtakes from Aces versus Kings today. That's two opportunistic moves we've seen him make, and he is flying out there in that Haas now. Jackalacco is next target, 1.6 seconds between the two Alpines, as Lawrence is losing time by the bucket load to RJ Blair now. 3 seconds is the gap. And let me just catch up with chat. Fully dry, thank you, Sumo. We say fix now, it'll be out every 5 minutes. Tia has been Krausered into the wall. Well, that's one way of putting it. But it's tricky, isn't it? Because, like, you've got to be absolutely certain that you're going to be able to get alongside. It's got to be a massive mistake from the driver ahead, and you've got to get alongside before they can shut the door on you, because they're perfectly entitled to, as long as you're not alongside yet. So it's really difficult to really put a marker on it. Tia's not going to be happy, of course, and Ferrari we've seen already, he's not happy after he got put into the wall by Mania earlier in this race. But it's hard to say, really, isn't it? It just depends on how you steward, what you feel like. What you feel like the rules should be on Monaco. You have to be more fair with everyone when racing here than you would at any other circuit. That's exactly right, Marcus, but, you know, it doesn't make stewarding any easier, because with those kinds of incidents, both drivers are guaranteed to think that it's the other driver's fault. So you can't really win, as Aces has a big snap of oversteer on the exit of turn 1, and that is a front left end plate gone from the Haas car, and he is going to be cursing himself in that cockpit. That is such an avoidable mistake, and he's now going to lose a ton of time to the top 3, and is, well, as it stands, going to be out of the race for this race victory. Mania and Krauser, P5 and 6. Krauser under pressure from Tito Man, by the way, on those 5-lap-old medium tyres. He's doing a very good job. He hasn't raced with us in a couple of seasons now. He's back on track as a reserve on probably the toughest track to make a return on the entire calendar, and but he's doing a decent job. He looks to the inside of the chicane, but would be a fool's move to send it through there, and indeed Tito backs off. But this is now the only battle on circuit until now, because Mania has caught the stricken Haas of Aces, who does peel into the pits for a new front wing, and that's going to be a set of fresh tyres. I don't know which colour, but fresh tyres, a fresh front wing for the Haas. He's going to be back out, at least in some clear air. It's going to be some fresh medium tyres. He'll get those to the end. But he is going to be in clear air, like I said, so he'll be able to push to his heart's content. As we ride back on board with Tito Man, who's 6 tenths behind the Aston Martin of Krauser. 7 tenths now, but he's putting the pressure on that Aston Martin. As Krauser, of course, the race winner at this circuit last year in Tier 2. Could do an almighty undercut on the leaders here. Yeah, it's very possible. He absolutely could. As Tito now going to the chicane again, but he can't quite make the move again. has to stay behind for now. But still plenty of time to go in this race. Like you say, Marcus, Aces are going to get a huge undercut now, so we'll see whether that tends to make a difference. Oh, and there's a big mistake from Krauser into the penultimate corner. Tito now is going to have a chance to make the overtake. DRS open. What an exit from the South African driver. There's big contact between them. Krauser gets a penalty for multiple warnings after going off at turn 1. He lets Tito through. Tito, though, has got no front wing, so he's not going to be able to stay ahead, and he's going to just ride the wall on the outside there. The old NASCAR move. Did any of you see that race in NASCAR? I think it was NASCAR, where this guy just scraped his car along the outside wall for the entire final corner and overtook about 10 cars. It was brilliant. Tito has now been Krausered, says Marcus. You're making it a thing. You're making it a thing. We'll see if Krauser has any more impacts with other drivers before the end of this race. There's still 20 laps to go. It was NASCAR, yeah. That was fantastic, that was. That's one of the best clips I've seen in racing of any format. It's fantastic. Jacko into the pits in the meantime for a fresh set of medium tyres. And do it in emphatic fashion. RJ and Lawrence still, well, RJ in theory could get those to the end, but will he try is the question. Lawrence definitely still has to pit. He hasn't pitted yet, the only one not to do so. And Jacko exits the pits well ahead of Aces. That was his main competitor at this stage. And Jacko will be relieved to be ahead of the Haas as Aces has undercut everyone else, though. Mania into the pits, exits just ahead of Tier. That's crucial for the Aston Martin driver. Is Tier going to be able to make a move? No, he's not, into Casino. So Mania will keep that position, and now we'll look to keep going. Lawrence now with a track limits penalty. So both Alpines now have one, as Tier just following along behind Mania, but that was a big mistake out of turn 1, or turn 4 rather, just about managed to hold on to it, but is now going to lose a ton of time to that Aston Martin, I think. Lawrence, though, into the pits for his only pit stop of the Grand Prix, in theory. Medium tyres to the end of the race. Where is Jacko? He's coming round the last couple corners now. Has Lawrence managed to stay ahead after the big undercut from his teammate? Jacko coming around the final corner. Watch the right-hand side of your screen. Where is Lawrence? There he is! In the Alpine. Can Jacko get him through turn 1? Lawrence is going to get the worst exit, but I don't think Jacko's quite close enough. And no, he's not. He remains behind his teammate, and that is crucial for Lawrence. A huge, huge moment in this Grand Prix, and Lawrence still remains ahead of his teammate. Aces versus Kings, though, in the meantime, he's 2.7 behind Jacko. And both Alpines have a 3-second penalty for track limits. Aces could be in contention here for a race victory if he plays his cards right and he keeps on the pace with those two Alpines. It's easier said than done. They've been so quick today, both of them, all throughout the evening. But some mistakes, and Aces could well find himself in contention here, at least for a podium. But I find myself having to ride on board with this man again. RJ Blair in the lead of the race with much older tyres than everyone else, with everyone else having to chase him down in the last stint. This sounds eerily familiar for those of you who tuned in last week. It was we were at the French Grand Prix last week, and RJ took the lead at one point. He was on very old intermediate tyres. It was just light rain. Oh well, it was light to medium-ish rain, but not enough for full wets, as many found out. But he led the race. He was on 24 laps or more, perhaps even more than that, old intermediates. And he had Scott, he had Darth Nihilus chasing him down towards the end, but he held firm and he remained in the lead. And it's seemed to be experiencing a bit of deja vu here, as the situation seems eerily similar to last week, as RJ through turn one, a 20-second lead. Yes, I can show penalties. Hello, Frank, in the chat. Good to see you, man. Let's have a look at penalties. It's 3 seconds to RJ, Lawrence, Jacko, Tier, Lucas Rowe, and Krauser. So everyone with a penalty has 3 seconds as it stands. So that's the key thing. RJ needed to pit that lap. He's going to be behind Lawrence now, says Marcus. Bold of you to assume that he's going to pit. Harris says, randomly remember the thing that happened on holiday. Italian dad asked his 5-year-old son what brand of car is. Gets us Ferrari in the most Italian accent you can imagine. Dad turns to us and says that's the only car brand he knows. It is Italian. I don't blame him. No problem, Frank. But yeah, RJ, he's losing time by the bucket load to Lawrence here. It's already down to 17 seconds. It was 20 seconds at the start of this lap, just to put that in perspective. But catching up is one thing. Getting past is quite another. So Lawrence is going to end up with that problem. And in the context of the championship, I'll quickly run you through what the top few in the championship. So here are the standings. It's Lawrence on 67 and Jacko on 65. There's 2 points between them. So as it stands, Lawrence has the fastest lap. So he would take a 1-point lead in the championship over his teammate with 2 rounds to go. However, if Lawrence can take the race win here, even if Jacko gets to P2, that's 2 extra points for Lawrence, and that could be crucial in a championship battle this close. Every point counts, and Lawrence is definitely going to want to make every single race count. He's got a history of bottling championships late in seasons. It's sort of the negative aspect of his reputation in APPF1. So he's going to want to make sure he has some kind of a margin going into the last couple of races, lest history repeat itself. But do you risk it? That's the question. You can't. You're Lawrence. Put yourself in Lawrence's shoes here. You're driving the Alpine, you're catching RJ at a rate of knots, and you catch up to the Red Bull driver. Do you go for it and risk DNFing or completely ruining your own race? But with the prospect of perhaps getting 2 or even 4 more points over your championship rival with 2 rounds to go? Or do you just stick behind and secure the 1-point championship lead? That's the question. That's what he has to think about right now. 10.6 seconds. Sumo trying to curse Lawrence in the chat. I see what you're doing, Sumo. I see. Most Monaco thing about this is the huge yacht in the background. Yeah, there's plenty of those, Harris. Don't you worry. Plenty of yachts. Marcus says you should always risk it, but will Lawrence think the same thing? That's the question. There's 13 laps to go. RJ's in the pits. He's not going to go for it. He's seen how quickly Lawrence is catching it, and it's a front wing change. That's why he's in. It's not going to be a race win for RJ today unless some kind of a miracle happens towards the end of this Grand Prix. But RJ exits the pits and he's going to be in P4, perhaps P5 on exit. Let's ride on board with Mania. Where's the Red Bull? Look at the right-hand side. He's there, just gone past. So RJ rejoins in P5 with Mania ahead. But RJ on much better tyres, but with a 3-second penalty. And we've seen already in this race that Mania, not the easiest driver to get past. As Lucas Rowe in for the soft tyres, looking for that fastest lap point. You get 1 extra point for the fastest lap, for those of you who are not aware of that. And Krauser, last year's Monaco Grand Prix race winner, is languishing down in P9. And doesn't look like he's going to make any more progress today, unfortunately for him. But as long as he finishes the race, he can't be too unhappy with that, I don't think. Skinny dipping in Monaco Harbour is a bucket list item for short markers. You know what? Fair enough. Fair enough. I can see that. I can see that being a bucket list item for sure. It wouldn't be on my bucket list, but I can, you know, I can respect it. RJ though, he has already caught up to the back of this Aston Martin. Those fresh tyres, so powerful. But now, here's where the troubles begin. Tier gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, just to add to his woes for today. It is going to be soft tyres for the Ferrari. And Tito Man in as well for a fresh set of softs to the end. But here comes RJ to the inside, doesn't send it. Just not during race weekend with everyone watching, says Marcus. Yeah, fair enough. Would I ever go skinny dipping in the first place? No, that's very true. That's very true. Monaco or not, I just wouldn't in general. But Krauser, meanwhile, could gain a place here after languishing at the back for all that time. He's gained the place on Tito around the outside of Tier 1 as the Alfa Romeo exits the pit lane, and Krauser's up to P8, and it could be P7, because Tier now is going to have 11 seconds of penalties, thanks to that pit lane penalty and that penalty he just got for corner cutting just now at turn 1. So Krauser could be looking at P7 here after all of that. Skinny dipping is amazing fun, especially drunk. It's funny that this is what Monaco Grand Prix things do. RJ's getting past Mania, by the way. Another competitive overtake in this Grand Prix. He's made the move off the back of the final corner, and that's a great overtake from RJ. And Aces is going to be his next target. He's going to want that podium, but he is going to have to face, surely, a penalty for taking Scott out earlier on. But yeah, it's great fun, especially this is what the Monaco Grand Prix does. We end up talking about skinny dipping in the middle of the race. I wouldn't know, Marcus, because, well, I don't drink for a start. So, you know, I wouldn't be able to experience that anyways. By the way, breaking news, Lucas Rowe has set the fastest lap. He's done it in the Bristol Channel, fair enough. But yeah, that is an extra point for the Ferrari driver. Tito came out in the mediums, by the way, not the softs. So he's not confident in that tyre's ability to get to the end here. And he's putting Krauser under pressure again. So Krauser could end up losing the place to Tito anyway after all of that. And a big error out of that corner, and that's a gift for the Alfa Romeo driver, who just goes straight through, and Tito is up to P8, and it's P7 on paper after Tier's many penalties at this stage. But yeah, Lucas Rowe will be pretty happy with that fastest lap point as it stands. Can Tier beat him though? Tier coming around the last couple of corners. Is there going to be a fastest lap attempt from Tier? Let's have a look. Through the final corner to the line. No fastest lap for Tier. I can show penalties once again, Rick, no problem. 11 seconds to Tier and 3 seconds to everyone else who has one. That is the current state of affairs. Let's have a quick look at fastest lap. Tier was, oh wow, he was over a second away from his teammate's fastest lap. So not the attempt he would have wanted. And Lucas Rowe, as it stands, is going to take home that final point. Or that extra point, I should say. RJ Blair, 7.5 tenths behind Aces versus Kings in the meantime. He's already caught up to the back of that Haas. 6 seconds was the gap just a few laps ago, and now the American driver looks to take this podium away. He looks to the inside as Aces goes for a wide line, but RJ can't quite do it. He's binned it. He's binned it out of Casino Square. We have another safety car in this Grand Prix, and suddenly Aces versus Kings is in prime position to take the race win. Tier gets another 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Disaster for him. But suddenly now RJ Blair out of the race, and Aces right behind the top two, who both have penalties. Everyone's going to be on equal tyres in theory, with probably only 6 or 7 laps once the safety car comes in of racing left to do. Aces has just got to keep his nose clean, and he is in with a fantastic chance of the race victory here in Monaco. Tia, meanwhile, getting another 5-second penalty, so that's him up to, how many penalties now? 16 seconds of penalties. Marcus is going to get banned from Ghost Chat in future. I mean, that would be impressive. if you manage to be silly enough to get banned from my chat, that's impressive. Look at what's happened here. Giacalaco has stayed out on the medium tyres, 11 lap old mediums. He's going to get swallowed up by everyone on the softs here, but that's the thing, it's overtaking on this track that's the most difficult thing, and there's a very real possibility here that Jacko and Lawrence could take each other out, desperately fighting for that race win. Or well, it's going to be P2 perhaps, if Aces can get involved. Mania could end up on the podium as well here. Anything can still happen in this race now thanks to this late safety car. Giacalaco staying out. I can't believe he stayed out. I really can't. It's his only chance. That must be what he's thinking. It's his only chance to win the race. But it could easily end up with him coming 4th or 5th here. Or even worse, if Lawrence gets too desperate, they could take each other out. What drama that could be in the last few laps of this Grand Prix. This is why we can't lose Monaco from the calendar. We just can't. We wouldn't have races like this. I'm so glad they fixed the safety car, because we don't have to deal with that bollocks anymore. Tia has now ended up being lapped, unfortunately, so he is going to remain P8 at the end of this race. Challenge accepted. We do love a bit of drama. Absolutely we do. Sumo says he sure hopes there isn't an Alpine double DNF. Surely, he really hopes that there won't be. Jacko's rolled the dice. He'll be within range of Aces, but gives him a chance to be ahead of his teammate. Well, we shall see. We shall see. We're going to get, I would say, 6 laps of racing here. Maybe 5 if we're unlucky, but it should be 6. There's Tia, the lapped car. The lapped Ferrari right behind. And in fact, actually, this is very significant. Tia is between the 2 Alpines and Aces. So Aces could end up in a sticky situation here, because he's got a lapped car between him and his goal. Tia goes off the track, I think. Well, maybe he was trying to let them through, but I don't think he was, actually. I think he just missed the corner. And he's gone straight over the chicane. Is he going to come into the pits again and sportingly get out of the way of the fight for the race lead, I wonder? Or is he going to stick it out? He would have to go on an old set of softs, so that's the only thing. He hits the back of Jacko. He does from Tia. I'm sure the other drivers highly appreciate that, especially this man, Aces versus Kings. But Tia into the pits for the wet tyres. He's gone onto the wet tyres, and well, it's not going to be pretty, put it that way. Tia and Krause are coming around the final corner. They should get past Tia as he comes out the pit lane, and yeah, they do. So Tia, very sporting behaviour from the British driver. Very good to see. He's gone onto the wet tyres. But pits out of the way of everyone else after being lapped. So very commendable, it has to be said. He's doing all right. Considering he's on the wets, he's doing all right. He doesn't seem to be struggling too much. If I were him, I would pit again at the end of this lap back onto the softs that he was on. That's probably what he will do. And just try and go for fastest lap. That's got to be the goal. And the race of fastest lap, by the way, is well and truly back on. Luke Castro has it at the moment in 11.9, but there's now 4 drivers on softs. Tia's going to go back onto them as well, you would expect. The expectation for wet tyres in a dry environment. Horrific understeer, Harris. And also struggling to get the power down. But yeah, as Marcus said, until they overheat, they're not too bad. But yeah, as soon as they overheat, which is very quickly, that's the end of the road. Here we go then. Jackalacco is down through the final corner, and he's gone for it on this final stint. Lawrence to the outside, down towards turn 1, goes for the switchback, and he's already passed his teammate. What a move from the championship leader. He's back up into the race lead. Jacko's gamble has not paid off, and Lawrence is ahead. And now Aces is going to be looking to follow him through, because if he doesn't, he will very quickly lose track of Lawrence, and he'll lose any chance of getting the race win. So there is actually still an opportunity here for Aces. Isn't Tia going to cause shit being lapped again in a couple more laps, says Frank. Tia slander there in the chat. But here comes Aces now. Is he going to use the ERS to try and get past Jacko? He is using it, but he's not close enough. He's going to have to back out. He looks to the outside, but he's going to have to try and get the switch back on the exit and can't do it. Loses the rear, in fact, and now he's already nearly 3 seconds behind Lawrence, and his chances of a race win, his dreams of winning the Monaco Grand Prix are slowly slipping away with every corner that he remains behind this Alpine. Mania's looking to get past as well. He's looking for a podium out of this. And you never know, if something big does happen, even Tito Man could get involved. He's still got no penalties as well. Aces through turn 1, loses the rear a little bit, and Mania is right behind. Looking for that P2 finish. Tia into the pits for a set of softs. He's going to want to take those and try and get the fastest lap now. But Lawrence is going to take some beating for that fastest lap, because he's surely going to set it on one of these laps before the end and take that extra point away. And at the moment, Jackalacco is staring down the barrel of a P4 finish. Could even be a P5 finish if he loses to Tito Man as well, thanks to that penalty. And here comes Aces now, looking to the outside again at the chicane, but he can't make the move. He has to stay behind, and he's going to be a frustrated man. He would have thought he would have had an opportunity at the race win, but Jacko let Lawrence through far too early for Aces to be able to go for the win. And now it's surely game over for his chances of that P1 finish. There's a bit of contact between him and Mania and Jacko. I think all 3 of them made contact. DRS now enabled. It won't do much around here, though, as everyone piles through the final corner for the 37th time, or 36th time, I should say. Here comes Aces on the back of Jacko. Jacko holding Aces back only helps his teammate and destroys his championship chances. That is very true. Very, very true, Marcus. If he'd had some foresight if he'd had a championship mind or more of a championship mind, he would have let Aces through earlier to try and stop Lawrence from winning the race. But sometimes the logical championship mind gets overtaken by the racer's mind, and that's clearly what's happened here. But here comes Aces. He's going around the outside. He's drawn alongside this time. Jacko's going to leave in the room, but there's just not enough room to leave at that chicane, and you just can't go around the outside there unless you're very, very brave and very, very lucky. Aces finding that out. Can't get past the Alpine. Mania, a bit of a mistake there through a swimming pool, loses a ton of time to the two ahead. Krauser looking for a move on Lucasro in the meantime, looking to the outside on the soft tyre-clad Ferrari. We're on to lap 38 of 39. It's going to be the final lap of the Grand Prix in just 1 minute's time. As Krauser looks to the inside, he cuts the corner. He's going to use the ERS to try and get this move done up the hill. Can he stay alongside? No, he can't without contact. The door is shut. Krauser's round and he's down to P7, but he's still in the race, thankfully, as Tito Man now is the next car to go barreling after Lucasro. After all of this, Tito Man's going to finish in the top 5. What a drive, it has to be said. Jacko now 10.5 seconds behind his teammate. Krauser's gone way too deep there. Must have been front wing damage that he wasn't expecting. Lawrence leading by a huge margin, is surely going to win the Monaco Grand Prix, and it's going to be at the major cost of his teammate and championship rival Giacalacco. If he finishes P4 here, who has the fastest lap? It is still Lucasro. No one was able to beat him. So Lawrence isn't going to have the extra point, but as it stands, he's going to gain 8 points on his main championship rival, and he's going to be 10 points ahead going into the last 2 rounds. It's a huge, huge buffer for the Season 9 champion. And Giacalacco, that last safety car in this Grand Prix, has destroyed his winning chances, but he took the risk. He went for the mediums. He tried to keep his teammate behind, but he didn't last even 1 corner. Lawrence has already passed him at the exit of Saint-Devote, and now he's going to lose out to Aces and Mania. And wow, what a turn up for the books in the story of this championship. Lawrence coming through the chicane. He's into the final sector. We're right on board within a few corners time. Aces is surely going to just stick behind Jacko now. He knows there's no chance to catch Lawrence, so he just wants to secure P2. Maybe Jacko feels he can get his penalty removed. Who knows? But as it stands, he's going to be P4. But we cut back to the race leader, the championship leader, and he's going to take a huge lead with 2 rounds to go. He even does nearly a donut over the line. He's got such a lead. Lawrence wins the Monaco Grand Prix. Giacalacco comes around the final corner to take P2 on track, but over the line it's going to be P2 for Aces, and then P3 for Mania. Secures his 2nd Monaco podium in 2 Monaco Grand Prix. Brilliant race from him. Tito Man secures P5 on his return to APPF1 after being out for months and not even having raced for months. He joins back at a Monaco Grand Prix and comes 5th. What a drive from Tito. Lucasro comes 6th with the fastest lap. Krauser comes home in P7, but he does come home. And Tier is going to come home as well in P8. He's going to score some points. It wasn't the race he would have hoped for, but it's still a finish for the Ferrari. Tito gets driver of the day from the game. Honestly, there's a part of me that wants to give him driver of the day as well, from my side. But it is Lawrence who takes the race victory. And a monumental championship lead. Jacko says that he had to try, but it hasn't worked out. So there we have it. Lawrence wins the Monaco Grand Prix with aces in P2 and Mania finishing on the podium in third place. Jack Alaco, the reigning champion, is going to have a 10-point deficit to his teammate with 2 rounds to go after finishing P4 today. Tino Man in the top 5. What a drive from him. Lucas Rowe takes P6 and the fastest lap, which he'll be happy with. Krauser takes P7 in the end, with Tia just about managing to get across the line in P8. And then RJ, Scott, Sumo and Rafferrari, the unfortunate DNFs from this Grand Prix. Stick around, we will be doing podium interviews. My driver of the day... Oh, it's hard. It's hard to say. It's either Lawrence or Tito. It's difficult not to give it to Lawrence, but I really want to give it to Tito. I'll give driver of the day to Lawrence, but honorary driver of the day to Tito, because what a drive from him as well. But we will have podium interviews in just a second. I'm going to start the party right now, and we'll get the podium finishers in to have a chat. Prompt the podium finishers. Here's Lawrence. We're just waiting for aces and Mania. There's our P3 finisher, so we're just waiting for aces, who's typing in the Discord right now, so hopefully he joins into the party in just a minute. Well, I'm sure aces will join us in just a second, so we'll get going. Lawrence, you are a Monaco Grand Prix race winner. How does it feel?
What did Danny Ricciardo say for Red Bull? Was it redemption? That's what it felt like today. It was almost a near perfect race, just bar the 3-second penalties. I think that's the first time I've done Monaco to that extent or length without any damage at all. Yeah, concentration was there. It was really hard at the end.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, what a drive. I mean, you had 3 stints in this race. It was the original hard stint, then the mediums, then the softs at the end. Which one was the most difficult, would you say?
When the hards dropped off, I think after the second safety car, I think it was, they was just non-existent, because I think that's when RJ managed to pass me, or 2-3 laps after the safety car restart. The tyres were just dead, and it was just so good to get some fresh rubber on the mediums. Yeah, that stint was pretty good after that, and obviously I wasn't planning on pitting for the softs at late safety car. I just had to go for softs because I knew that aces would probably roll the dice and go on softs as well. So yeah, I was just had no choice to pit.
I last thing I just wanted to ask with you and Jacko, obviously, usually in a party. I'm assuming you were as well today.
Yeah.
Was there any communication from Jacko that he was going to try and stay out, or were you under the assumption he was going to pit as well with you?
He told me he was going.
Conspiracy.
He told me he was going to stay out, and the plan was that we was going to race. Just race for it. But the soft tires were just pretty powerful compared to his mediums, and yeah, I managed to just do the slight little cut back on turn one, and I just got the drive out of that corner. And, thankfully it worked out.
Well, what a win from yourself, Lawrence. And you now take I believe, 10-point lead in the Drivers' Championship going into the last two rounds. I know you've got an infamous reputation in APP for bottling championships towards the ends of seasons, but I mean, if you were going to bottle it anywhere, surely here was going to be the place. So you must be feeling pretty good going into the last couple of weeks.
I quite like Zandvoort as well. It's one of my favourite tracks. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Let's not get carried away. We've seen me, we've seen me put myself in some really sticky situations before. So we will see how it goes.
Well, at least there's no Baku.
Yeah, there's no Baku, and yeah, I dedicate this win to Sumo for predicting my T1. So I am sorry, that's 2 points that got away from you already.
That is, yeah. I'm going to be smarting after that race in the prediction championship. It's not going to be good. But yeah, congratulations, Lawrence, and good luck for the last two rounds.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for your commentary as always.
No problem at all. So we move on to our second place finisher, Aces versus Kings. It's good to talk to you again, man. I mean, after the first half of that race, I didn't think we had any chance of talking to you here, but here you are after a fantastic second half of the race, but just couldn't get past Jacko to try and get the win in the end.
Yeah, I know he didn't let me pass, did he? But yeah, first half of the race, as you say, was a bit of a nightmare, man. Hit my wing off twice going into turn one, I think. To be fair, the second time I hit it, I don't know his name. The third man or something. I've gone on the outside of him into the chicane, getting the cutback, but I've put too much power and it sent me into the fucking barrier again. Excuse my French.
Oh.
And then I boxed again. I thought this is just quality laps to the end, and I just went for it. And then RJ Blair, don't know what happened to him.
He
was
just
behind
binned
me
it.
1 minute, and then next minute he was in the wall, and I thought, okay. So I thought the race was coming back to me. So I did have there was a slight chance of the win, depending on circumstances. But yeah, I'll take P2 after the first half of the race, definitely 100%. GG to Lawrence as well, and for Jacko.
Yeah, thank you, Ace. It's a good race, man.
Well, I mean, it's, like I say, good to see you back on the podium. Same question to you as to Lawrence. I mean, if you split that race up into stints, which would you say was the most difficult?
The first getting into the rhythm. It was just, Monaco's a track. If you don't have the rhythm, you're just bound to die. And obviously, me taking my wing off, I didn't actually die, which was a bit of a bonus. So then after I could go now and do another 50 laps, and I'm sure I'd be fine. It's just getting it rhythm. Literally, I've got back from work, had some food, and I've jumped on literally in 5 minutes. And if Monaco's not the track, you can do that at all. You know what I mean? It's just bloody city. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just. But once I found a rhythm, I felt good.
Oh, congratulations on the podium despite the rough start to the race, and good luck for the remaining 2 rounds.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for the stream as always.
All good, no problem. So
Hey,
we
I
come.
might have to say though, Jacko, you're my teammate as well, bro. Man. What's going on?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you could easily.
Now,
I mean, if you're thinking championship points, it was surely in his interest to let you through to try and go after Lawrence, but
no, I'm thinking he could have stayed in front if he wanted to. You know what I mean? But now I know who his favourite teammate is. It's all gravy. It is all gravy. You know what I mean? I thought me and the Scotsman had a bloody relationship going on out here. You know what I'm saying? Loyal to the cause.
Oh, well, we come to our P3 finisher, Mania. Well, for much of this race, you seemed like a very difficult man to get past. But eventually you had to yield in the sort of middle part of the race when your tyres were just not good enough to keep people behind. But still, you came back towards the end and got yourself on the podium. So talk us through it.
Yeah, I don't know quite how I managed to do it. But no, it was a tough race. It was kind of like a sense of like, obviously there's people that I know are going to be a lot quicker, and it was just where if they were going to pass me, where to let them by without losing too much time. Obviously with like kind of like my kind of pace, I tried to fight with them as much as I could. And then I did the same as Lawrence, so stayed out on the hards because it was way too early to go onto mediums at that stage, because if it wasn't another late safety car, then obviously you'd have to stop again. And then I was kind of like brought back into it a bit more with that late safety car. And then yeah, obviously Jacko holding aces up helped a bit. Sorry if there was any taps in the rear. It was I was just getting caught out a slight bit by Jacko getting some late exits out corner.
Yeah, it's all good, bro.
But never done. But yeah, glad to be back on the podium.
Yeah, it's good to see you again in the interview. I mean, like I say, same question to you as to the other two. If you could split the race into stints, which one was the toughest to get through?
I think it was kind of a mixture. So like the medium towards the end, kind of like as it was going on, that was probably the harder. I think it was just getting in a rhythm at the start of the race. That was the main thing as well. But the hards weren't too bad really. So I'd probably say the second on the medium, just a bit more slippery.
Yeah, fair enough. I can concur from races around Monaco. The mediums get very slippery after a little bit.
Yeah.
But regardless, overall, back on the podium in Monaco. That's 2 Monaco Grand Prix for you and 2 podiums in a row.
Yeah.
Do you think you can make it 3 next year?
Hopefully, yeah. I've had third this time, second last time, so hopefully. praying.
Yeah, there's only one left.
You never know. There's one left to go. But yeah, overall happy because I haven't been on the podium in ages, so I've had many top 4, top 5 finishes. But yeah, glad to be back.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again, Mania, and good luck for the last 2 rounds of the season and of F1 23 as a whole.
Thank you, and congrats to Lawrence and Aces as well.
Yeah, thank you, JB. Well driven, mate.
Well, thank you all 3 of you for the interviews, and thank you to all of our drivers for putting on such a spectacular show today. You know, Monaco Grand Prix often gets a lot of stick for being boring and with no action and no overtakes. We certainly got plenty of action today, so thank you to Tier 2. But 2 rounds to go in the championship before we say goodbye to F1 23 and move on to the next game. But they are Zandvoort next week, and Monza will be the finale. So make sure you tune in, especially for the finale. But we'll see if Jacko can close the gap on his teammate before then next week in Zandvoort. So have a great rest of your week, everyone, and we'll see you next time for more APPF1. Goodbye.